Did you want me to get this started once everybody's at the table? Did you
Yes,
just?
please.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, whenever you like.
Yeah, I'd prefer for everybody to be into the bounds, and then it'll just draw us a circle around it. It does this then digitally.
There might be a couple people coming. Late.
Okay. As many people as possible to the then into the bounds.
Everybody take a seat. We have those BoneCon Subway sandwiches available.
I got a lot of shit on me.
Yeah, I got a bunch of pancakes on me.
Right. Yeah, if anyone's hungry or needs
Yeah, we can
anything
pass food
to drink,
around.
let's pass some food around.
Does anyone need anything now?
I'm good.
Say so, hold your peace.
I could use a drink, please.
Alright. I'll just put some shit down.
I had a bunch of coffee if
Grab
people
what
need it.
you need. Make sure you share.
We might be waiting for one more. Give me a moment.
Hello?
Are you here?
I'll be there shortly.
Okay, just making sure. Well, we're gonna get started because that was like a
Yeah,
30-minute
you
boat
can
ride.
start without me. I know.
All right, see you soon.
Don't wait up. Yep. Okay, bye.
We have 2 members of Cerberus watching us.
It's okay. They've informed me that they're gonna be there. They're just making sure everybody's okay. Right, I guess I'll start this off. I'd like to first of all thank you all for coming. I know this isn't necessarily the easiest thing nor the best of circumstances. The reason we're all here is because well, Los Santos has been hit by a plague whose name is Norman Bones. And for one reason or another, you've all somehow been touched by him in some shape or form. I'm sure there's many of you here who have made deals. The reason we're disguised today is because there'll be no judgment here today. You guys have done it for loved ones, and we can't question people on that. So I'd ask you all to just refrain from judgment. This is purely a meeting to exchange information. Whatever information you may have on Norman Bones, please bring it forward, because playing Chinese whispers and trying to figure it out from one person to the next is getting us nowhere. But this is a first step in the right direction, and I thank you all for being here. Ma'am, are we good with the protection stuff?
We should be good. No significant energy use. You should be able to sense this is us right now.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, Anyone have anything to say before we start today? Perfect. If that's the case, then I'd appreciate someone could speak up, and we're just gonna go round, give as much information as you possibly can, try and keep it first hand only, so either stuff you have learnt yourself, directly from Norman or through other means, and listen to the people talking, and you come next, say things that haven't been said yet. Best way we're going to be able to do this. Is anybody able to take notes at this meeting? Are you willing to volunteer for that?
I can.
Honestly, as many people who can do it as possible would be fantastic. And we can all share that afterwards. Anybody like to go first? Alright, the man in the blue suit will be going first.
Will he?
Thank you for volunteering.
Will he? Thank you, Flop.
Hey, we'll be using no names here, okay?
Okay.
Go on.
I want to clarify. Am I talking from personal experience right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I've been dealing with Norman for 3 months, 3.5 months. Watched a lot go down. I've heard many different perspectives. My personal ones involve trying to stop him. Although my involvement was not hectic or heavy, there was involvement. With that said, everything we've tried that we thought would be spiritual did not work. And in recent time has brought me into a deal that could cost my life, if not to sacrifice someone. I do believe that nothing spiritual will stop Norman. That everything that has been tried was tried. I think there's other options, but I don't think that they're going to come to the same conclusion.
Information.
Excuse me, we'll come to the same conclusion. And as of right now, I don't have many days. And I don't know what to do.
Do you have any information on Norman Bones?
He's a prick.
Okay, I'll go first. Norman Bones was, from his own mouth, born in Chicago. I'm assuming 60 or so years ago. He had a brother named Isaac. His dad ended up killing his mother. That's not when he started killing people. But nonetheless, that is what he told me. A few years back, Norman Bones was a living person who went on a killing spree of 54 separate people. He was caught and found guilty of, I'm not sure quite what charges, and he was sentenced to death. He was shot and was killed by firing squad. And according to him, he went into a room with death and he came out. He then reappeared a few years later as posing as a lawyer in Los Santos, which is where I met him for the first time. Don't know anything else from his time then. And then he reappeared recently as something more powerful that I'm sure we've all met at this point. Honestly, other than that, I don't have any other information, which is one of the reasons I put this together. I'm pretty hopeless right now, so I'm hoping you lot have a little bit more. Anybody else? Miss Bonehead?
More of a question about the birds.
Okay.
I've only seen them once. A friend of mine attempted to pet it. I was curious to know if anyone had any experience with those.
All right. Okay, I'll talk finally. Since everyone's being all quiet. No, before you ask, it's not Richard Dark. I don't even want to hear it. All right, so Norman's got these birds, yeah? He's got these crows. But it's almost as if, like, they've got some minds of their own, yeah? One particular reason I want to say this was because there was this one time, yeah, where the crows were there and this white seagull came, yeah? And I thought the seagull was suspended, but so did Norman and the crows because they didn't like it. They had this fight, yeah? And during the fight, the seagull exploded and the crow started to shed its black feathers and started to sprout white feathers. Ever since this thing has happened, Norman and the birds, they don't like this bird. The bird's name, a bit on the beak if you ask me, but it's named Hope.
Oh, shit.
They don't like this. Now, what's
Have you
interesting... Go ahead.
Have you seen Hope before?
Yes. I've seen Hope before since this.
Is it a white crow? It's a white crow, or is it a seagull?
White crow now. One
Is
of
it-
Norman's birds. Yeah.
Does it have blue eyes?
I don't know.
I've also seen a white crow with blue eyes. Just the once. When we were talking about Norman.
They don't like
I
this bird, though.
saw a white bird with blue eyes. This is during Reaper Con. It was at the Floral and Justice booth.
Well, if anyone else has seen this bird, anyone that has made deals with this person, has anyone else who's spoken with Norman seen these birds? Were you alone?
Speak up!
I've also
there's
seen the birds while I've been
I don't know
alone.
which birds you're talking about. Norman has like 11 of them.
The white birds. The white
Oh,
ones
white
with blue eyes.
I thought you were talking about the normal crows.
That's something. If he doesn't like them.
Andy knows something.
The white birds are supposed to be the black birds are known as guys using them to see what they cannot see.
Let's make sure we're all yelling.
You say that again? I didn't hear you over here.
The white birds are force for good. They fight against Norman and his birds. The black birds are Norman's eyes and ears, his spies, his parts where he cannot be. Tootin' and moonin'. Any of you familiar with that concept? It's the same deal.
Do we know where this white seagull came from?
I know it was fond of Cleo when she was still alive.
I don't know where it came from, but I was told that after Tajira died, I believe it was that the highway man absorbed this energy and changed. And so this is a result.
There was a moment where the Highwayman was dressed all in white. Then he reverted to his old ways, knocking for death, stabbing, and killing. Recruiting others, trying to be Norman, even as he fought to free himself from Norman. The leash was almost off last time I saw the Highwayman.
Okay, I'm going to talk now because everyone's sitting here twiddling their dicks and texting each other things they don't want to say out loud, so I'll be the one to talk here. And again, I'm not Richard Dock. Norman Bones is not just Norman Bones, right? There's an entity inside of him, yeah? And this is death. But there's two separate things that make him up. You can say this from all those years ago. Where
He tell me
he
they were
wrote
the
in
right,
his
buddy.
journal, and he'd always refer to himself as we. Even now,
We got a
if
thing
you talk
going on.
Gyms, you'll even get maybe one day you're talking to Norman, and the other day you're talking to the entity, yeah? So they're two separate beings, yeah? Which means they can be split apart. If one were to want to do such things. Two different things means two different mindsets. Sure, they might be able to coexist with each other, but there can't be everything that they agree on, yeah?
Where did this notion come from that you're talking to one or the other and that they're not the same thing now?
Well, information from everyone around that people aren't sharing at this particular meeting for it.
I actually did speak to Norman just a few days ago, and well, I wasn't talking. I felt like I wasn't talking to Norman for a while. I was just talking to, I guess, Death, because I was asking it questions about Norman, and they were saying Norman in the third person, and I was asking what its motivations were, and they considered themselves neutral. They consider themselves just, you know, the end of things, and they didn't particularly care that Norman was now, you know, I guess accelerating the rate that things die, because in the end all things die anyway. So as long as things are dying, Death was happy. And they said that the part of them that was Norman was the, you know, the evil part, the thing that wants to play the games, the one that wants to kill things, while the other part just wants things to die. But I do think there might be, you know, a case that there is two separate things taking up one entity.
So you guys think that when you're talking to him, you have to specify whether you want to talk to Death or you want to talk to Norman?
I don't know that much.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
That's what it sounded like you were pitching. I was real confused.
Another
Yeah.
thing I wanted to bring up, since everyone... Okay, we spent a half hour traveling over here for everyone to sit in complete fucking silence is the stupidest fucking thing I have ever witnessed in my entire life of Doc's age. And again, I am not Richard Doc. Okay? Swallow your fucking pride and talk. I want to talk about purgatory.
We were, as they mentioned earlier, the fella in the blue jacket, his days are literally numbered.
He's not the only one.
I mean, technically all of us are.
Everyone's
Yeah,
days are
everyone.
numbered. Swallow your pride.
How many you know how many days you have left?
I was specified, I was told.
Well, raise your hand if you're sitting at this table and you know you got X amount of time to do your deal. Oh, see, that's not as many as I thought.
I have 2.
2 days?
2 deals or
2
2 days?
days.
2.
Ooh.
Have you decided what you're going to do yet?
No, because I'm hoping that when people open up with this meeting, it might provide me and mine with an alternate way out.
Psych harder.
No.
What is wrong with him?
People can say no all they want, but I mean, the people that are doing it can do whatever they want.
What
I
was
was
your
gonna
deal?
say, sorry. I was gonna say I can talk more if need be. I was just gonna say, so the whole concept that the other entity is death doesn't make a lot of sense to me. At least this is just. So the idea of Grim Reapers, this is originated in the Middle Ages. It originated when people are dying and they needed a symbol mostly for artwork. It's folklore, not myth. And most, like, there isn't any actual methodological basis for this is something known as the Grim Reaper. There have always been the things that rule over the death in the different cultures, but they rarely actually have to do with the things dying. Hades didn't really give a shit how people died as long as they stayed with him. And if he was actual to death, if there was a being called to death that went around, and he's the only one, then why is anyone dying except for the people he deems dying? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, if it was a mortal man, now he's got some entity. You know what people are like. Everyone's fucking greedy, right?
Yeah, my question is, if there's a being called to death, and he died and went into a room with him, and he came out to different, then why has anyone died since? If he was absorbed to death into that room, then what's ruling over to death now?
What do you mean ruling over death?
If he really went into a room with the being known as death, and he absorbed him or beat him or whatever the fuck it is he claims, how has anyone died since? Because no one's watching it. No one's in control of the death. No one's watching over it. No one's been in a room with death since. And why did he beat? Why out of anybody who has ever died did he leave? Like, why? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense.
People have died since. People die every day. What do you mean?
That's why I'm just saying is, why have people died? If he really is, this is also to death, like he claims.
You're saying there was no precedent for Reapers in mythology. That's incorrect or narrow-minded. There's plenty of precedent.
Oh, there's beings. There's beings that resemble Grim Reapers, but the actual being known as this is a Grim Reaper.
I mean, omens of death are ancient. All you have to
Of
do
course they are,
is tie an omen with Reaper, like banshees, do the hands.
Again, there's this thing like
faced with right now, regardless of what your textbooks say.
You're all talking in circles, okay? You can speculate as much as you want if he's deaf, if he's hard of hearing, or anything. The fact is, if you make a deal, someone's gonna die. And if you push back on that deal, they're gonna take more things away from you.
Pretty much.
So the question is, are you gonna go for your deal or not? Show of hands who has a deal.
Oh, peasant dealers.
Are you gonna do it? What are you willing to give up if you're not?
That's a very broad question, as you don't know what everyone's deal is.
That's it. But a simple yes or no.
I'm
Yeah,
confused
I'm
how the
doing
yes or
mine.
no would change the outcome of what you're asking.
The
Well, what
outcome's
are your deals
inevitable.
then?
I mean, I'll go. I don't expect
Sure.
anybody else to tell anything. Again, because there shouldn't be any pressure for anybody to tell their deal, but I made a deal to protect a member of my family. We also kind of forced into it because Norman said if we left the lighthouse that day, that 3 members of my family were gonna die, so I kind of had to do it. And the deal was that those 3 members of my family would survive if at some point we would kill someone for Norman Bones. And I now have 2 days to choose that person. So I don't plan on doing so.
What is your backup plan if you don't?
Imagine it's dying, probably.
Probably.
Well, my deal is, I'm handing in myself. I'm not killing anyone.
What was the upside of that deal then?
I saved someone else's life.
Who's and why?
Someone I care about. A lot.
From what though?
At the time, a very big threat. But now it just...
On.
If that other person is hurt severely or dies, then I trade my life for theirs. They get to live. Or I kill the life of an innocent and I refuse.
I have a question. And this goes to everyone, and this might seem like a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it regardless. Does anyone genuinely know what happens when you don't do a deal?
You die, I would imagine.
Yeah, but does
Imagine.
anybody actually know? Or anybody
I had a
made
better
deal?
question.
Genuinely know.
I mean, you were there when we fought back against him. What did you lose?
Norman did not kill Cleo Shaw. People being stupid killed Cleo Shaw.
True.
And since her death last returned to the lighthouse, what does that tell you?
Does anybody know of anybody who hasn't gone through with their deal?
I got a better point. We all know somebody who did go through with their deal, right? Where's Dundee?
Doing it is one thing. There's nothing really to talk about. Not doing it, though. That's the... We can speculate that he'd kill us all we want. But in reality, the man in the white is going to be the first to know what happens when you say no.
I think it's pretty obvious what happens when you don't make a deal.
assumptions, though.
No,
Well,
really, assumptions when you can
You go to
just...
purgatory. That's what you do when you're stuck there and you're never leaving.
You can also just talk a bunch of shit and he'll drop you on the spot. I wouldn't really test his limits when it comes to the deals.
Oh
That's all I think.
God.
The fog is rolling in.
I know this is that too.
I have a question for people that have deals. Were you approached by him about the deal? Or did you say something to anyone and, you know, I guess a prayer to yourself, like, I wish I didn't have to do this? Like, how were you approached about the deal?
I know it differs for person to person. I know some people have gone to have a conversation and were forced into a deal. I know some people went to make a deal.
I won't talk about what my deal is, but I will say that I heard about Norman before he came and approached me. So when the time came and he finally did, I had a deal at the ready. My deal is one I offered before he had the chance to force me into it.
For me, it was Norman was threatening somebody I cared about, so I was gonna go talk to him. That's when we got there. We said we were gonna leave, and he said, "If you leave, we're gonna kill you, or you can step inside the lighthouse, and we can come to an arrangement."
What you didn't know at the time is those are the same thing.
You say that again? Sorry.
Same time, those are the same thing. You enter that lighthouse, you're not allowed to leave until you make a deal or you're dead. So no matter what you chose there,
Either way, you die.
somebody was gonna probably fucking die. This is what he does. He scares you into basically making a deal, and then you're fucked. He gets what he wants. So you might think you're being maybe the smarter person here, making the deal and protecting people you love, but all you're doing is fucking them over and fucking yourself over. And that's why most of you are here, to try to figure out a problem that just seems unsolvable while your back's into the wall, and maybe you might die and now somebody else is gonna have to die for a dumb fucking deal that you made.
I have a question. If the gross minority of this table doesn't have deals, then why are the rest of you here?
I'm hoping that, I guess it's been a little bit over 4 years now, dealing with Norman, knowing of Norman, when he died, when we got him, when we took him to the cliff and we slit his throat, and him being back and dealing with that. I had hoped that maybe some of the stuff that we knew from the past and the way that he worked would help some of you guys and shed some light into working your deal. I don't see anything like that being able to help you guys. But I also didn't know exactly what's going on with you guys in entirety.
Pretty much the same reason as her.
I'm marked for death, but not by Norman.
Well, Norman's not the only face of death. Have you guys been told that as well?
I've been.
So.
Yes. Also, it's me, Suarez, because the Richard Dark voice was hurting my throat.
Okay.
I know
I
that
hate
that's
you.
not Suarez because Peach would be right next to you.
Well, who's to say that? This isn't Peach.
Alright.
What do you mean Norman's not the only face of death? What does that mean?
There's other people. Well, Norman has said himself that there's many faces of death, and then other people have also said that there are many faces of death, and even claim to be death themselves.
I've also heard this. That there is
You know, sure there might be a capital D with a death, but there's many other smaller entities of him. And Norman is just one. Norman's also just one in Los Santos. So it's kind of like you cut the head off of one snake and, you know, whatever that expression goes. There's like 3 more after it. I don't know.
I don't know if Norman's necessarily more powerful than these other people. Or that,
I think so.
I mean, they conflict with each other. And at times they will stand down and not pursue what they want because of Norman's, his prerogative trumps whatever they're after. Or they will stand back because they see that Norman's taking the lead on what he wants. But the results at the end of the day are the same, so they're not going to intervene. Norman also makes deals. Let's say that again.
Heal when he pulls the leash.
Oh, he
He's always seemed very confident that he can kill them if he has to.
Yeah, well, he makes deals with these other entities too.
I have a general question, more of a show of hands. How many people know of Norman's journal? Show of hands. Keep your hands raised if you have actually read that journal page for page. If you have not, put your hand down. Okay. For the people with their hands up, he used to always refer to himself as we. Not all the time. Sometimes it was I. But in a lot of circumstances, he referred to himself as we. Do you believe that Norman once pursued death years ago? Or do you think that this is something recent?
What I got from it is that Norman always thought he was dead.
Same.
Even before he was. And I think we is just referring to, you know, I'm going to have to do something about that.
He always thought he was death. But if you think hard enough, I'm not going to pop into a flower. So the question is, do you think that he believed something then that he knew?
Nah, I think he got an ego over time.
I think he was so lost in his own fucking thoughts that he started to believe something that you believe something long enough.
So he grew wings?
You go around murdering fucking people.
I think it's true.
You lose your sanity and you start to believe in something.
So if I think
believed in
3 other
something
people in the
before that.
city. I named 3 other people in the city who think they're god of death. None of them have the power that Norman has.
I did ask Norman this. I asked him why he always used to call himself we. Norman said it was because it was something he did to, I guess, talk to himself. What he claims it was. He said it was nothing special. I asked him if he heard voices. He said no. Just said it was a way to talk to himself. He doesn't do it anymore. Whether or not I believe him.
Okay, so on that point, though, didn't you say earlier that when you had the conversation with him, you believed that you were talking to death? That he referred to himself as we?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
But he said that back then he was just Norman. So he used we to talk to himself, but does anyone know if for sure whether or not Norman has lied to them before? Have you caught him out on a lie? He claims that he doesn't lie to people.
He doesn't lie. He omits the truth, so what he's saying is true, but he leaves out a lot of details. Yeah.
Okay.
He just omits a lot of the fine details, so what he's saying is basically not a lie, but it's just
like a version of the truth.
Okay, has anyone seen Norman show any kind of weakness before? Anything that's affected him either physically or he's shown pain.
Did someone try to drop a lighthouse on him? Yeah, that one.
I mean, he gets pretty triggered if you talk bad about his brother.
Yes, he does.
He is vulnerable when he exerts himself.
How do you mean? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
The day of the lighthouse. You've heard the stories about him taking bullets to the head. The moment he exerted himself, those that were there that day that saw the sparks come out of him, Bundy put a bullet in his head and he dropped like a bag of shit. But would have took 5 minutes, and then he was back on his feet. Still with the hole in his head.
So, we're back to, we just shoot him. Is that what I'm hearing?
It doesn't work.
Never implied that.
'Cause that
Unless if he
went
showed
great.
any weakness.
That went great at the
What are
lighthouse for
you
everybody there.
implying?
We just get a bigger bullet is what you're implying.
If you shut up and listen when he exerts himself.
How was he exerting himself back then?
You saw when he pulled the highwayman out of Cody. Sparks lit up the air. Then he put a bullet into his head.
We don't have another Cody.
I know. I'm just giving, don't you want information?
No.
Or you want to sit around here and all act like you're more important than each other? Pull the
You're
dicks
the
out
one
of your
telling people to
asses.
shut up. To be honest.
Well, you asked for information, I'm giving it.
Well, so the only weakness we know of is, I guess, when Norman exerts himself, but boy, that's good. I mean, he gets pretty touchy about his brother. So I don't know whether that's because that's a weakness or he just doesn't like people talking about him.
Could the we in his journal not refer to his brother and himself?
I've thought about that too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He did say that he didn't know where his brother was. This was as of a few days ago. Very possible that they were separated early on. Especially because both Norman's mom, their parents was killed by their dad, and then Norman killed their dad.
Could we talk to the brother then?
I don't think we know who the brother is, other than his name is Isaac, and born in Chicago with Norman.
Was Isaac ever killed? Did he die?
Not that I know of.
Maybe we should try and find his brother then. Maybe he can give us insight.
I don't think that's the best idea, considering how, for a man that claims to not care about anything, how touchy of a subject that is for him. I think that is asking to get murdered.
But shouldn't that be exactly the thing that we dig harder on? The thing that he gets touchy about?
You're sensitive to most of the spots where the hurt is, right?
Well, if nobody wants to pursue that, then What other avenues?
I'm
I'll
spreading.
re-ask that question. What is everyone's next steps to what you want to do? What is in mine? What ideas do you have? Even if you don't think they're gonna work, I think you're better off proposing what you think moving forward. I would speak upon, but it's kind of hard to, seeing as literally I have 2 days.
I always thought that if anyone were to ever try and take him out, here's my theory. Norman Bones dies, right? He's a serial killer. He's a psychopath. He thinks, you know, I'm the god of death. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. He goes to purgatory, and somewhere in between him dying and now, he becomes death. I believe, and this is based on like mythology or theology, so I don't know how fucking real it actually is. This is just an assumption. There's a belief in there that if you were to actually want to kill a god, you have to do it in their domain. And on reports of people going to purgatory, he had them drop all their weapons beforehand and kept them in a cage the entire time. Why would a man that calls himself Death ask that before bringing someone to purgatory if he's an all-powerful being? Maybe purgatory is his weakness. Just an assumption, just a shot in the dark since no one else is saying anything and people are still texting each other stuff they don't want to say out loud.
We're talking about common beliefs. It's also commonly believed the more attention you give something like this, the more power you give it, and I'm sure people making deals with it isn't helping anything.
I said I was
with the god of death was a bad idea.
Just a little bit.
It's crazy.
Well, remember when I said no judgments?
I'm not judging, but they're saying they want opinions about how you defeat something like this. That's all I'm saying.
Well, when there was a bigger threat at the time, you make a deal.
I understand why people would do it. I'm just saying that one of the things that feeds into cities like this is the amount of attention it's given. The amount of people that put their minds towards it. The more that do that, the more power it tends to have. That's all I'm saying.
Makes sense.
Has anyone ever thought about overwhelming him?
How do you mean?
With what?
If I'm understanding your question correctly, I think it's happened by accident with people. Hence, we're talking about his weak points, right? Would it be argued that his weak points are that?
No, I meant that if he is death, can we not overwhelm him? But that would require something horrible. Not that I would ever want to do it, but has that ever been a thought?
It was mentioned that there's more than one phase of death. So if you're talking about overwhelming him with the amount of people who died at given time, again, you're assuming that he is actually the one responsible for like in charge of everybody's souls, and that he's the only one, which again doesn't make a lot of sense.
It feels like this isn't really going anywhere. Again, it's just going in circles. No one really knows what to do with it. The only option that I'm seeing, the only sort of thread that we can start pulling on at this point to be these birds. That's the only thing that I'm seeing that's a positive that's going to come out of this conversation today.
I mean, his birds have protected me. They've never done me any harm.
Why have his birds protected you?
They protected me from the...
Acting on their own tuition.
Because of Athew.
But the birds have protected others from the highwayman as well. If deal was also in play there, the birds act as reminders of Norman's presence for some of the other entities in this city.
So you're marked by those birds.
I'm not.
But the people that are being protected by them, it's a sign that they've been marked.
Right, that they have Norman's interest or
Wouldn't say
attention or protection.
The birds are just normal birds, though. To be honest, they're mostly normal crows.
But it's the white bird that I'm interested in.
The seagull used to fight the crows until it exploded. I don't know what happened to it beyond that.
It's what I talked about at first. The bird exploded, and then the black crow that was fighting it shed its black feathers and began to sprout white feathers and became that white bird. So it was one of Norman's birds. And we also know, based on
Andy's
things
not
that other people have
talking
done,
up about
that the birds can somewhat have a mind of its own and maybe even take on actions of their own.
Balto hasn't
Although they
spoken up.
do,
Storm
assuming
hasn't
for the most
spoken up.
part, obey Norman.
Essa hasn't spoken up. How did you know the white bird's name?
Because I know the people who named it and the people that were around when it happened.
So it wasn't. So who named the bird?
God.
You know who owns the white bird? Not the seagull, the crow.
Yeah.
Who?
This is the only option a lot of people have.
Dr. Lennon.
Lennon.
How did she acquire the bird?
The day the lighthouse fell, it came to her and never left.
Oh wait, I'm gonna put this out there. Is it possible that this white bird? We know that some of the other birds, like Noxie, have personalities, right? They're more than just a little bird. They could be, I don't know, people. I don't know. They have personalities. Is it possible that this white bird with blue eyes could be something to do with Cleo Shaw?
I don't think so, because it was a thing before Cleo left us.
Does the white bird stay with Lennon?
I'm not sure on that.
I'll say this, and I don't have a lot of information on the bird, but I know she calls it Hope, and I don't know what her reasoning behind it is. However, I do believe that other people believe that the white bird is a representation of hope, which I don't Again, understand the full context of. I know very little about the birds.
Coulter, come on.
Might it be worth speaking with the owner?
Out of curiosity, who else has
I
seen?
wouldn't do that if I were you. And that's all I'm gonna say about it.
What's that?
They said they were thinking about talking to the owner.
No, it
about what
might
you
be
all were
worth.
just talking about it. I wouldn't do that.
And instead just murder someone?
I never said that, but there are not only two choices in the world before you go getting your panties in a knot.
Okay, okay. Well, is it's going to be a dangerous thing?
You might want to turn around, Top Hat.
The crystals are also smoking.
Is that supposed to happen?
What does that mean?
Well, last time that happened, old boner champ showed up.
That could mean that there some of the things trying to burn through the protection.
I don't think walking out of it is going to help either.
No, this is out of the circle. It does this isn't give the same protection or the same block kicking effect energy wise.
If anyone wants to leave, you're absolutely welcome to. No one's held here. Got to make that clear. No one's going to be judged if you want to leave, because God knows this is way out of our leagues, so...
I'm gonna try to strengthen them again.
Fine. Redhead's over there. Does anyone know why it might not be a good idea to ask Dr. Lennon about the boat?
There's no reason not to.
I didn't take it as a reason not to talk to Dr. Lennon about it. I took that as more of a, he wouldn't like it because he doesn't like the bird and gets all weird when talking about it. That's how I took that. I don't know if somebody knows something else about it.
The other thing too I want to mention is if everybody goes and approaches Dr. Lennon, that's not gonna solve anything. That's also half the reason why everyone's here, is to avoid trying the same thing that's been repeated 47 times. And I don't think approaching Lennon 47 times asking the same question is going to resolve anything. I think there needs to be a discussion. I just don't think that everybody here needs to approach.
I agree.
Does everyone have the same information about purgatory?
Knowing very little about it, I could explain, I guess, what I know. Because again, I'm not very well versed in it, and you could tell me if I have the wrong idea. As far as I know, purgatory is kind of the in the middle. It's essentially nothingness. However, on the same flip of the token, in order to get to purgatory, the only times I've ever heard of people going are the people that have been killed essentially here, and people have been brought back from purgatory and essentially brought back to life.
Supposedly, Norman is the only person who can take people to and from purgatory, or so he claims. People have seen glimpses of purgatory out in the real world, even for seconds. Purgatory, based on numerous people describing it, is like an upside down version of the lighthouse. Makes sense, considering that it's his, domain, if you will. But, I personally don't believe that there is only one way to get to and out of it.
He's told me that you can come back from it, but once you move on, you can't.
He's not the only person.
Not the only person to send people to purgatory or bring them back.
Bring them back. We go.
For my understanding of purgatory as this is a place, this is supposed to be a sanctuary hall way. You're not supposed to be able to stay there. You're supposed to stay there long enough to figure out where you're supposed to go in the after your life. However, that does not sound like it's the case. This is as of right now.
I only think I know one person who's been there and come back, like maybe two.
There's multiple.
I know Bass is one of them.
Sam Bass.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I asked where is Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Walker killed Sam Bass, returned Dundee to us. Sam Bass was returned after Brian Knight made a deal, but Dundee never came back.
Didn't we have Dundee's skull?
Yes.
Yeah.
How was there any coming back from that?
How did Sam Bass come back from a couple of gunshots to the back of the head?
How did Norman come back after we shot him with multiple ARs and then slit his throat and ocean dumped him?
Yeah, good point. Good points all around.
Well, I know that there's been talks of confliction as well when it comes to making deals. If someone already has a deal, I've heard of deals where people are given a second chance. My question is, I guess it's not even really a question for anybody. The question becomes, did Dundee have another deal? Did Dundee have something else going on that we are unaware of? Because I do think Dundee is a unique case from everything that I've heard since I've been involved, considering he is still missing and we don't know where he is.
We do. He's in purgatory.
Anyway, I have
Have you seen him in
binoculars.
purgatory?
What's that?
Yes.
Can I borrow them real quick? Also, just so we're all aware, there are crows flying around.
Oh, fantastic.
According to Norman, based upon a deal, I know he offered once of the options to get, quote, the Dundee treatment, unquote. Meaning that every time that he would call somebody or ask for something to be taken out, that they would do it, no questions asked. So I'm assuming that that's what happened with Dundee. And, well, we all know what happened to Dundee. So. What happened to Dundee? He got killed.
Similar to how we know Cleo's in purgatory, it just leaves me with questions to say that no one has physically seen Dundee. I've seen his skull, but I've not physically seen Dundee, and to be clear, I don't think he's dead.
Has anyone talked to Bass about where he was during his, vacation?
Probably Brian Knight.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Brian
I think
Knight would be the
only
only one
like,
who
in
really knew.
passing, and it wasn't for very long because some other shit was going on.
I asked him, yeah. Claimed he was on vacation. I said I
Yeah.
knew he wasn't, but he didn't budge.
To be clear, did you say that you spoke to Brian about that?
No, Brian's the only one who would really know the details. I also spoke to Brian about his deal. He didn't trade a life. He almost did. For an individual by the name of Jim Crow.
I know, I was there.
He brought him to the lighthouse and was going to execute him, but realized that he didn't deserve it. So he informed me the deal he made was his sanity to stand less fight. So some people
Hold on. Say that again?
He traded his sanity.
Who did?
To Santos. Brian Knight. I'm sure many people have some choice words on it, but that was the deal he made.
I mean, what's left of it? He offered it to Norman?
Yeah.
Isn't that just gonna result in more deaths than the one that he could have chosen from the get-go?
That's gonna get himself killed.
Well, making a deal is going to backfire.
All these deals do backfire.
I mean, maybe it's a joke on Norman. I mean, Knight was never the most sane person.
Does anyone have anything important that they find that they should share?
I'm trying to rack my brain.
We're talking, please yell.
I don't know if it's important. I don't know if it's helpful. But I was asked specifically just to make something to trap Mrs. Bones a while ago. And I have not heard from the people who asked me to make it sense, but I do have a design. I have two actually.
And you.
The ingredients for making them, however, to take some effort to detain, and the last this is a piece of them. I'm gonna have to do, if anyone uses them, I'm gonna have to train them before the actual thing is finished, as
Or a thing with a
I
table.
or whoever the cast sister is, not that I'm a witch, but whoever the cast sister is to finish what the cage is gonna be incapacitated for a while, and so either their design requires training. One is more literal than metaphorical. In terms of being a cage, and more is suited to him being as corporeal as possible. The other one is the opposite. It more works to trap the souls, and I've also designed destabilizers to theoretically help keep the whichever being is used to trap it as incorporeal as possible, if it is somewhere in between. And from that point onwards, it can be used to trap At least this is as much as it's meant to trap us as a soul as much as it as possible. And most is likely will not get out. I can never guarantee any of the thing 100%, but I've shown these designs to a few people, and one person who I showed it to went, "Are you trying to trap a god? What the fuck is this?" So, and a demon described it as overkill. So,
Yeah, but that's fine with me.
I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm saying that as into terms of will this work, I'm saying I've designed it as thoroughly as this as I can.
I'll honestly take anything at this point, so,
I mean, I'm at this point where Norman is death. Death is inevitable. It's a part of the creation process. It's a cycle. It's inevitable. Can't stop death. It's gonna happen, no matter what.
Did death exist? This is it before him, and did it will exist after?
Yeah, I mean, he became death, so it is possible. Another option we have is that I know that Norman and the Chicken Man have beef. Chicken Man, for those of you not knowing, is another strong entity. He's kind of similar to Norman. And they clearly don't like each other. So I've always imagined them kind of taking each other out. You know, 2 birds, 1 stone. If anyone were to do it, better another entity than, you know, us with whatever spiritual plan we can come up with.
Yeah, but I don't
We
think
have tried that
he's-
before. It didn't work.
He's not capable of taking
Yeah,
Norman
that's
out.
not gonna happen. I think Chicken Man and
has
Norman are
asked
too
people to take out
opportunistic.
Norman for him.
Yeah.
So, man in the white suit. Let's go back for a moment on you. Your time's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You plan to say no.
Yes.
Are you gonna do this in person? Or are you gonna do this on the phone? What's your plan idea afterwards?
I mean,
you don't have to answer, but
I have 2 days after this meeting to give Norman a name. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So, hopefully, in those 2 days, I'll be able to do something to try and get rid of Norman. Guess using
what's that?
I don't know what that thing is. I still don't know what that thing is. And if that doesn't work, then use the pun here. I'm gonna ghost him. I'm gonna ghost the fucker, and I'm gonna run away from death. And I'm gonna bring my family with me. And it's probably not gonna work. But
I have a question.
Sure.
Would you want to speak with your other members of your family about that? Maybe have a discussion before running from the inevitable? Man in the white suit?
Listen, I agree with everybody here that yes, death is inevitable, but we have thus far not heard nor encountered an inevitable creature or being that wants to make deals to make death happen quicker. Right? Before Norman came along, had anyone ever spoken to death before? No. Well, I hope not. Anyway. I just think if he's so different to be out and about and walking around, talking to us all, I think he has to be different enough that we can replace him or get rid of him.
From what I've heard, from what I've heard,
Best thing
it's
for the
not like
raid,
he,
buddy.
I mean, fuck, who knows? Maybe he's gonna snap his fingers and you're gonna drop down to the floor. Or, from what I've heard, every time he's taken a life and taken them to purgatory, it's been around the lighthouse. So maybe you have to be at or around the lighthouse in order to actually be brought there.
Sorry, buddy.
I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, somebody speak up. But, I mean, that kind of makes sense that... So if that's the case, I would not do that in person. And I would be very wary of others because I'm assuming that he would have people come after you to bring you to the lighthouse so he could take you to where he wants to take you. But, I mean, again, like, the mysterious red-haired woman in the bowler or cap, how long do you actually want to outrun death for? Can you outrun death?
Pretty sure that's just called living.
True.
Memento mori.
How long you want to be on the run for?
Maybe seconds. Might be a good start.
There's always a chance that he could make deals with other people to chase
fuck?
down the people that
Oh,
break the
that's
deals.
not good.
All right, who's vaping?
It's just fog, okay? It's just sea fog.
Oh yeah, it's just all right. Whatever you say.
I brought copium.
Maybe you shouldn't walk off by yourself, though.
Jason, the more we leave the
deal is-
circle, the worse it's
The
gonna
more we leave
get.
the circle, the weaker it is. As soon as you leave the circle, the energy's like negating part stops working outside the circles. So